Tonight, I would like to introduce Laura Bruno. Laura is a life coach, a medical intuitive, an animal communicator, and a Reiki master teacher. She's been a raw foods coach since 2005. She's the author of 2 published books, If I Only Had a Brain Injury and The Lazy Raw Foodist's Guide. She's also got a new book that she's just completed. It's not published yet, right? It's not out yet. It's actually a novel. I don't even know what that's called, but maybe you'll tell us a little bit about it. Her topic for tonight is the strangest and most common things seen by a medical intuitive. So please put your hands together for Laura Bruno.
Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you to Stephen and thank you to Shea, even though you're not here. And thank you to Cafe Gratitude for hosting this wonderful event. I think this is such a great thing that you guys have going, and this is just my favorite restaurant, so really wonderful love. Keep it coming. It's great. For those of you that don't know me, I see a lot of familiar faces out there, but for those of you that don't know me, thanks for coming out, and thank you to the ones that do. Just a little background on how I got involved in raw food. I was actually living in Sedona. I was working at a crystal and rock shop, and when it wasn't busy, I would read some of the books that were on the bookshelf there, and I happened to stumble on Gabriel Cousens' Conscious Eating book, and it just really resonated with me, and all of a sudden I was like, this really makes sense. I had been studying energy for years, and when I started reading about the energy of food and how food affects the vibration, it suddenly clicked with me that there was something beyond just having a vegan diet, that it actually mattered how much live food you had in your system. So that was back in 2004, and always being somebody that kind of winds up helping people, I found myself doing raw food coaching when I was actually pretty new to it, but there wasn't that much information out there then, and just noticed in people's lives how much their lives started changing, even if they didn't really go 100% raw, just by having them start having more and more of the greens in their diet and more chance to really start connecting with the energy of their food. And gradually that grew into a life coaching business, and my medical intuitive business got a lot broader based. So that's just a little background on the raw food aspect. But since tonight's talk is the strangest and most common things seen by a medical intuitive, I thought maybe I should explain a little bit about what medical intuition is. Has everybody here heard of Carolyn Myss? Yeah? Okay. Well, for those of you that haven't, Carolyn Myss, the spelling of her last name is M-Y-S-S, but it's pronounced Mace. And she's kind of the person that coined the term of medical intuition, although it's really been around for thousands and thousands of years in some form. Basically, medical intuition stems from the premise that we are more than just this solid body here, and that even our physical health is actually related to more than just what's going on in our body, that our thoughts, our emotions, where we are in our life path all has a direct impact on what's going on in our bodies. What a medical intuitive does is really kind of hone in on a lot more of the emotional, spiritual, mental patterns that are affecting physical health. Some people do it in different ways. Some people are very visual, and they will go ahead and be almost like a human x-ray machine and kind of look in your body and see if there's dark imbalances. Some people are more, they'll look at your aura, they'll look at kind of the colors that are around your body. Some people aren't visual at all. Some people just kind of have an intuitive knowing of kind of what herbs would work for you, or if there's some kind of imbalance in your energy, what might help that to straighten out. A lot of people ask me how I do what I do. It really varies person to person. There are times when I've had that kind of x-ray vision where it's just like, ooh, liver. There's something going on there. Mostly though, it comes kind of as an inner knowing, and I do a lot of work with the emotional, mental, and spiritual rather than just the physical, because I figure there's a lot of doctors out there, there's a lot of holistic practitioners out there that you can have testing done for what's going on in the body. But what I've found, I've been doing this since 2001 officially, and what I've found is that you really do need all of the different levels of healing, because there's many times when people actually are on a good treatment plan and it's the mental patterns or some of the old emotions or some of the expectations or kind of the universe nudging you to really embrace your life path that's keeping you ill. And so when I do sessions, I tend to try to focus on those things. But when Shea asked me to do this talk, I thought, well, there's some really wild things that I've seen as a medical intuitive. I mean, there's a lot of things, because when somebody wants to call a medical intuitive, a lot of times it's because they've run through, tons and tons of doctors, or the flip side is that they intuitively know themselves that they've got, there's some other factor involved, and a lot of times they know it, but it's actually hearing somebody else validate that. And so I've just noticed that there's a lot of patterns that I see, and I thought I'd start out by sharing some of those. And then what I'd like to do is really open the floor up to a lot of your questions. I like to tailor my talks exactly to who's in the audience and really be able to bring to light whatever it is that you're mostly wanting to learn about. So since a lot of people here, I mean, this is Cafe Gratitude after all, I'm assuming that a lot of people here at least have a passing interest in raw foods. I have a lot of raw food clients and quite a few vegan clients. And so I would like to talk a little bit about B12, which if any of you subscribe to my blog or have read any of the people linking to my blog, you know that I'm kind of one of these B12 fanatic people. There's a reason for that. And the reason is that I have a lot of people calling me for really very odd kinds of unrelated symptoms, and what will come up on the physical level oftentimes is that they're really low on B12. As a medical intuitive, I'm not a doctor, so I can't actually say, look, you have low B12, you need to do this, but I can recommend people get tested. And what I found is that when people decide to get tested, then they are low, or sometimes they'll just go out and get a B12 supplement, and the symptoms can disappear in as short as like 10 minutes. And some of the most common B12 symptoms that I've seen that are not the typical ones that you hear of. Most people, when they think low B12, they think, oh, not that much energy. There's a whole list of symptoms, anything from, having your eyes twitch to having what some people would consider Kundalini experiences, where you're feeling a lot of energy kind of tingling in your body. Sometimes, yeah, you're awakening your body's energy, but sometimes actually that's really not normal. And sometimes those tinglings in your toes, those are actually a sign that your B12 is really low. Other things I've noticed with B12 deficiency, people wanting to leave their marriages. Odd. I mean, you would not really make that as a normal connection, but I can't tell you how many people I've had call me for sessions. I do something called intuitive life path assessments, where it's not just your medical and your energy, but also kind of looking at your life path and where you are and what options you have. I can't tell you how many people I have call me for that kind of session. And one of the questions will be, I really want to leave my partner, or I'm thinking about leaving my 30-year marriage. And, what do you think? I'm so clear on this, but I thought I should just run it by you. And I'm like, how's your B12 level? And what I found is that there are many people that they get low on B12, and I call it the grass is greener syndrome, but all of a sudden things start looking much greener further away. And not to say that every relationship is one that you have to stay in, but I've noticed this as a pattern, that when people get low on B12, they suddenly want to fly the coop. And so it's something that it's kind of one of those little warning signs of maybe check your B12. Another thing with B12 that I find is kind of unusual is suddenly having the urge to just really be kind of crazy.